And so, we're back. Hello there, welcome back to the Writing Advice Q&A. In tonight's episode, we're going to be talking about the perils of sharing your story ideas with other people, particularly friends and family. I'm going to be sharing my own experiences, and I also want to hear what you have to say. But before we go on anywhere, if you're new to my channel, hey there, my name is Mr. Karen, also known as Max, and I do writing advice videos twice a week on YouTube. This series is a series where I take your questions and I put them under the spotlight. I always reply to everyone's questions in the comments down below. I make it a point to do so, to reply to every question. But I like to also grab one question and put it in the spotlight and talk about it, and also bring it as a subject for conversation. I want to hear today what you have to say. Now, before I go on anywhere, allow me to give you the formal disclaimer, as always, and remind you that the following is merely just my advice, my opinion, and what works for me. Don't take it as gospel, instead take it as the ramblings of a silly person who looks a little bit, or rather precisely like this. I've been doing that disclaimer. I do it because I want to, but I also do it because it's important to remind people that I'm not here telling you what's the greatest, most important piece of advice. Do this or you will fail. And other very clickbaity like headlines that other places use to try to get people's attention. I don't do that, and I want to make it very clear that it's just here telling you what works for me. But it's funny, because I don't remember. I have no bloody clue how I started saying that. I don't know how I fell into that formula. But it works, and I've been saying it for like 3 years, but it's fine. Anyhow, rambling out of the way. Today, rather recently, I got a question from a viewer. I'm gonna summarize it because I feel like this is something that everyone can relate to, and I feel that everyone has dealt with this. The question at its core dealt with the idea of being a writer and sharing, at times feeling like you wanna bounce ideas off of family members or friends, and you share with them not your writing, but the idea of what you're writing about or what you want to write about. And more often than not, almost always, this explanation or this act of you telling the story idea to someone else ends in turmoil or sadness. We're gonna be talking about that today. What is my experience? I can tell you, and I feel everyone here is gonna relate, or at least like 99.999% of writers. If you are that 0.001%, let us know, because I would sure love to be in that situation. Because I remember, even as far back as being a teenager, and that was a long time ago. Don't think about it, Max. Talking with somebody and being like, yo, I think I want to write this idea. And I'm going to talk about why I would tell people my story ideas first and foremost. I'll talk about that in a moment. But first, I'm going to talk about the reactions. Because I feel like the reactions to telling someone a story idea falls into three situations. The amazing situation that never happens is that you tell someone a story idea, and it's a family member or a friend, or someone who may or may not be a writer, more often than not a writer. And you tell them, and the thing that never happens is they go, yo, that's so cool, it's the greatest ever, you should do it. I would like to put forward inspirational words to keep you moving forward, because I want to see you create this piece of content. That never happens. Never happens. Never happens. But it could happen. The other two scenarios that are way more common is that this family member or friend looks at you after listening to your story idea and says, wow, that sounds an awful lot like X or Y. And I feel, in my personal history, that this message comes as one of two situations. Either they're telling you that because they think you're not aware that your story idea sounds awfully similar to another story idea, or in the case of really, really bad family members, they're telling you this because they want to make you feel like you're stealing someone else's ideas, which is something that non-writers do, because non-writers don't understand how story ideas work. So, generally, in my personal experience at the very least, maybe there's a fourth scenario I'm not thinking about. Whenever I've shared story ideas with somebody, I never get the whole like, oh, that's so cool and awesome. I usually always get like, your story idea kind of sounds like this other book I read before. Or, oh, why am I doing that voice? That's condescending. I could do one of my other tens of thousands of voices, but it's fine. It's either they think like, hey Max, don't you know this book this book titled The Stand, your story idea sounds a lot like it. Or, the story idea is just the X-Men. So that has been what I have felt. And over the years, I learned through those experiences, as we do with any sort of mistakes, that it's better off that I don't share my story ideas with people. And now that I'm saying it out loud, it sounds really, really bitter and hardened, which is funny because I'm like really sweet and squishy. So, looking back on it, especially when I was a teenager. Okay. Slow down. I don't want to make it seem like there's a thing young people do, because young people could do all the mistakes. I was doing this all the way up until second year of creative writing courses in college. I would share my story idea with someone, a friend, someone who I wanted to see their reaction to the story idea, and I wanted to see them be excited, and I wanted them to go, wow! Exactly, just that reaction. I wanted them to go, wow, it's so cool! I can't believe you would think on that, Max. You're the coolest! Exactly that. And I just wanted personal reassurance. I wanted them to think that I was awesome, and to realize that it was a great story idea, and in turn inspire me to get it done. And over the years, I kind of started to realize that, one, I really don't need that. And that's okay. That came off sounding really big-headed. Okay, slow down, Max. It came off a little big-headed, but I realized over the years that, and anyone out there who's jumped on through a lot of relationships will realize this as well. It's like, yeah, I don't need people to praise me. I'm just awesome all the time. That's not true. But you realize, wait a minute, I'm writing this story because I like it, because it makes me excited, because it's fun for me, not because I think it's gonna impress someone else, or because someone else is gonna read it and go, wow, Max, you're so awesome. The other issue that I started finding when I was sharing story ideas with people, especially some of my writer friends, who wouldn't give me the wow, but would at least give me the that's kind of interesting, with reservations kind of reaction. And especially writerly friends that I would do feedback with. I would write and then they would write, and then we would share each other's writing and give each other feedback. I found that I started dreading, or I would dread having told them the story idea when the story would start to change during the writing process. And this should be the point in which all the pieces start falling together. If you want to imagine the Tetris paradigm is the one thin block just falls through and the tetramino just flies in all directions. That's not how Tetris works, I understand, but you get what I'm saying. Story ideas, and I've said this before, I think I said it on the previous episode, story ideas don't matter. And I know that it can seem, up to an extent you could say even condescending, to be your story idea doesn't matter. But I mean it though. I'm writing right now. I'm writing a book right now. And I can assure you that although there are elements of my story idea that remain, of that story seed that I planted on the ground, and I've been kind of just writing because this metaphor is falling apart as I speak, but I've been working on it, and I know there's elements that have already changed. There's things I wrote on the first couple chapters thinking, I'm establishing the things that are gonna happen, and those things are not happening anymore. It's okay. Story ideas change. And imagine my shock when, or my horror when I told my best friend that hey, this cool thing's gonna happen in the story, and then I get to the writing part and that thing doesn't happen. I've grown to just let my stories simmer, just let them simmer in the darkness where no one knows what I'm working on, primarily because it gives me the freedom to have them change. If I told someone, hey, you know what? If I had made a video a month ago telling you what the story idea was about, we're already 5 steps removed from that. And I'm not done with the book just yet, and I haven't revised it yet. There's a lot of steps, and story ideas change. And I know that, again, if you're a really young writer, it's really easy to get focused on the story idea. But you gotta remember that stories change as you write them. Characters surprise you, and the things that you thought were gonna happen don't turn out to be that way. I can tell you that. I could give you examples, but I really shouldn't, because those examples may get edited out later. See? It's a problem. So, I think my thoughts on story ideas changing has been very well documented by now, but for any writerly friend out there, and I know this sucks, especially when you're like young and you wanna have the people around you be excited about writing, and I know that's hard, especially when you don't have an environment that inspires you or makes you feel confident in what you're creating. I know it can be incredibly hard. I've been there. A part of me would like to inspire you to not share your story ideas, but I can't stop you. You can still do it. Maybe you have that one person or that couple people that really do inspire you. Because I learned over the year, especially as being a writer, that whenever someone would tell me their story idea, I would never question it. I would never liken it to anything else, even if the thought passed by my mind that maybe, oh yeah, this kind of sounds similar, but story ideas don't matter. It's the execution, as always. Because if you squint your eyes hard enough, anything can look like anything else. And instead I would just inspire them. I would just tell them that it sounded interesting and really, really cool. Especially because more often than not, it actually did sound pretty cool and interesting. It's easier when it's with writers, it's harder when it's with other people. Either way though, I think you're better off not sharing them, keeping them to yourself, letting them simmer in the darkness, where they can grow and they can change, and you don't have to kind of give explanations later as to why that really cool plot twist you planned all along is not really there anymore. Okay, that's how I feel about it. I would love to hear what you have to say though in the comments down below. Today's video was actually really fun. I actually had a lot of fun, and you can tell that I'm back in the making videos mood, because I was just making jokes this entire time. I missed making writing advice videos. I missed them for a week because I was writing. I wasn't dealing with personal things. I was actually just writing, working on this book. It's become a treat, and I can't give examples. Maybe I'll make a big video once the freaking thing is out, and it'll be like, there's like 20, like the very first page on the journal is a bunch of sticky notes piled on top of another of all the notes that I have to change for the second draft. Or I guess the real first draft, because this is real rough, but there's just a bunch of things, a myriad of things, you could say, of little things that I'm just like, oh god, I have to change the description of this thing because it doesn't fit anymore. Or that thing this character said, you know this entire speech they said? Change it. None of this is happening anymore. That's life though. That's the fun of it. It's hard to understand until you're in there, until you're like neck deep on the list of revisions. Because look at me, okay? I put one sticky note on the very first page of the journal, thinking this is all I'm gonna need. Okay, it's one of this big guys. Oh, you can't see. There's a lot of lines there, and I thought, you know what? That will be enough. That'll be enough. That's all the notes I'm gonna just slap another one, and another one, and another one. It's a bit of a mess. Thankfully, I'm keeping track though, and make sure to keep track as well. This outro has gone on for way too long. If you have a question for a future episode, or a question you would just like me to answer, leave it in the comments down below and I will gladly give you a response. As we're moving into the formal outro, if you enjoyed this video and would like to make sure that I can continue on making videos like this one, as silly as they are, for the foreseeable future, please consider checking out my Patreon! Link on the screen right now. You can get cool perks, like watching my videos early, and copies of my books before they even come out, like the book I'm talking about right now. Wow! But of course, if Patreon's not your cup of tea, how about a cup of coffee instead? One-time donation, link in the description down below. I would really appreciate it. I really particularly like that link because it contextualizes the donation, as opposed to give Max an amorphous sum of money. It's like, buy me a cup of coffee. You know what? That's good enough for me. Thank you for tagging along. Now we're in the formal outro. Up here, a gigantic playlist of enormous, mountainous proportions. Mountainous as a synonym is really weird in this situation. Anyways, over 200 writing advice videos right there. Down here, link to my Patreon. Up here, a pixel face you can click on to subscribe. Less soft than my actual face, still relatively soft. And down here, a link to my other channel with Kitty, where we have really, really soft faces, and we're very, 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 very silly dorks. Thank you for tagging along, thank you for spending a little bit of your day with me, and I hope to see you on the next one.